Smriti Kr Sinha, Baramani Layar, Bhatikame, Joramaya, এই মণিপুরী সাহিত্য সংস্কৃতির জগতে তা পদার্পণ করেছে। প্রায় 30 সনের চোৱা ইয়ারি লাইন করিয়া স্মৃতি কুমার সিংহর ইয়ারি প্রথম খণ্ড 3.5 হাত কপন নামরিল হজক বিচারিয়া এসাজে করে তা গয়ে গ্রন্থ লেখিয়া গেছে। 12 ইনস্টিটিউট অফ অ্যাডভান্সড স্টাডিজ এ প্রোগ্রামার গইয়া পয়লাকার চাকরি জীবনে তা গয়ে কমাছে। গুয়াহাটি বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ে কম্পিউটার বিজ্ঞানে তা প্রোগ্রামার গইয়া কমাছে। এসাজে করে করে প্রোগ্রাম তথা কম্পিউটারর মাঝেই তার জীবন উৎসর্গ করেছে। ফারপাসি মতে গিরক অত্যন্ত আনন্দর ব্যাপাধান ফরাসি দেশে থায়া তা 2009 সনে দেশে আলয়া আছিল। অপিও কম্পিউটার সংক্রান্ত তাগৈ কানুর লগে দেহা সাক্ষাৎ করেছিল। আনতে উত্তর পূর্ব ভারতবাসীর ভিতরে কম্পিউটার বিজ্ঞানে গিরকেই বোধ হয় পয়লা ইউরোপিয়ান প্যাটেন্টর অধিকারিক আছে। এখানে বহু গুণে গুণী স্মৃতি কুমার সিংহ গিরক আমার মাঝে জন্ম আছে। তার অমূল্য ইহার পানি আর আকু দীঘল ইতিহাস আমি গিরকে তার অমূল্য বক্তব্য সংক্ষেপে আজি পেশ করে দিয়ে।
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman and resource persons and my distinguished guests. Since it's a national seminar, I would like to talk in English because there are participants who don't understand our language and it's a UGC sponsored seminar, so please excuse me. Gokulananda Sinha, his ideology, activities and their impact on Bishnupriya Manipuri community. I will dwell mainly on these things. Here I would like to highlight the Gokulananda Geetiswami, but at the same time I would like to highlight the webs of events associated with Gokulananda Geetiswami. They are also equally important, but in brief. Gokulananda Sinha, in a nutshell, is a tale of the rise of an ordinary man through an extraordinary path to an icon of a voiceless community. This will be the main premise of my talk today. Gokulananda Sinha is a tale of the rise of an ordinary man through an extraordinary path to an icon of a voiceless community. Yes, Gokulananda Geetiswami is an ordinary man. Gokulananda was born in Penary-driven family in a far-flung village, Madhapur of Vanua, Sylhet district of Didan, Assam on 26th November 1896. And I personally visited his birthplace and the biographer visited several times, Haridas Sinha, I suppose. And he had humble family background, limited formal education and no exposure to modern world. Being among the illiterate mass, he had no access to the elite class. And so he was an ordinary man. But he traded an extraordinary path. Yes, his path chosen was extraordinary. Gokulananda was economically poor, almost uneducated. He studied in the formal education up to class 8 level, voiceless, but he had tremendous power of vision, analytical mind, positive attitude, open mind, and great sense of social responsibility, and above all, pure, selfless love for his culture and mother tongue. Because of this set of positive attributes in his personality, perhaps, he could cross the geographical, economical, educational limitations and tread an extraordinary path, totally non-conventional one, with the aim of revitalization of a dying language heading towards moribund stage by enhancing its prestige value. He gave the clarion call to the community to wake away from the deep slumber, just like our Vivekananda did, but he did it in a very limited scope. His chosen path was innovative, non-conventional, and hence extraordinary. like that of Mahatma Gandhi for independence of India from British rule. To drive away the mighty British power from India, Gandhiji chose a hitherto unknown, politically untested path of non-violence. He realized that overpowering mighty British through armed struggle would be suicidal and might end up to a huge frustration. Spiritually rich Indian culture and his wide study across different domains, including non-violence, enriched his thought process to treat such a path. Gandhi's independence struggle was in wide national scope against British for resurrection of lost glory of Mother India. Gokulananda's struggle was in the microscopic community domain for the resurrection of the lost glory and social identity of a spiritually and culturally rich community, Bishnupriya Manipuri. This situation was such that the elite class embraced Bengali language and dress codes, etc. in place of own mother tongue and traditional dress, thinking those have less prestige value. The mass people, on the other hand, used Bengali and Meitei languages in social and cultural forums, giving a derogatory status to its own mother tongue, to their own mother tongue. Through his analytical mind, Gokulananda found out that the root causes were illiteracy and imitation of others, as my previous speaker said, and these were done out of inferiority complex. To wane the spell of darkness of illiteracy and false pride of imitation, Gokulananda picked up folk and traditional songs, kirtanas, vashakas and alternative media for mass education in own mother tongue, Bishnupriya Manipuri. Songs and music, we know well, that songs and music communicate directly to the hearts of the target population, whether primitive or elite. And the source and target are under the same breathing framework. Elahan, Deruburanko, Huneruburan, Ridigot ya direct over. Ohane, Gokulananda Roke, Elahan of the মাধ্যমে ঘটলো তা আমারে সজাগ করানোর চেষ্টা করেছিল। অন্যতায়ও চেষ্টা করেছিল জাগরণ পত্রিকা নিকালিয়া পত্রিকার কাছে যেটা তাম করে পড়তারা উদার কা করে যেটা না তাম করতো উদার কা এলাহানোর যে অস্ত্র নেই ঠিক যে সাথে মহাত্মা গান্ধী অহিংসা আনেছিল এহানিল দেশা মারিয়া। Gokulananda knew well that print media like little magazines containing literary items like poems may be effective for educated elite, but for illiterate mass, simply useless. Yes, Gokulananda read to an icon. Yes, Gokulananda is icon today. Gokulananda was successful in his mission in communicating his appeals and ideologies and well-off in songs, mainly kirtanas, vashakas, etc. through folk media, thereby revitalized a dying language, induced and enhanced the prestige value of the mother tongue in the hearts and minds of the Bishnupriya Manipuri community. His contribution cemented the foundation of development of literature and culture and also paved the way for identity movement spanning over decades. In fact, it may be the longest known language movement in the Northeast that is subject to verification. This ordinary man, Gokulananda, this ordinary man who was looked down upon by the elite, who was insulted in the public meetings, religio-cultural events, for performing in disgraceful language, is now standing on the pedestal amidst floral tributes and unimaginable respect from this generation next, Gen Next, as he is a national icon, a bright identity variable in the social identity card of Bishnupriya Manipuri community. He was conferred the title of Geetiswami by Nikhil Bishnupriya Manipuri Mahasabha, 1993, if I am not wrong. He represented voiceless community. Yes, this community is voiceless. Gokulananda was a member of a voiceless community, Bishnupriya Manipuri, a diasporic minority populace, economically poor, still struggling for a strong foothold in a new land, hence a non-entity in the prevailing power structure in the land, British India. He was at that time. India got independence in 1947 at the cost of partitioning the country vertically on religion variable. It was followed by a referendum, as a result of which Sylhet, which was a district of Assam, was attached to East Pakistan. As a result, this minority community was divided into two countries, thereby became more voiceless. In independent multilingual India, the language policy formulated favored only major languages. All patronages and promotions were earmarked for these languages in 8th schedule. The country was horizontally divided into states on the basis of major languages. In this horizontal and vertical division, we became still marginalized. For minor languages, a token commission was formed, Linguistic Minority Commission, the output of which are a set of reports. Practically no promotion and no patronage for minor languages. In the process, the languages of the marginalized communities pushed towards endangerment. And today, there are many endangered languages in India. Out of the number of endangered languages, I think the highest is in India. The worst of this is that linguicide, that is the death of the Bishnupriya Manipuri language, occurred in its place of origin, Bishnupur, and its surrounding in Manipur. Giridhani, linguicide putrata bhasha anjabaka more. Bishnupur baro tar kadabara a bhasha moria hotase. That language now. People of this community there embraced dominant language Meitei as their mother tongue. People in diaspora in Assam, Tripura, Sylhet, etc. were bilingual and trilingual. In time, they started embracing dominant language like Bengali and in some cases Assamese. Under this context, initiatives were taken by visionaries individually as well as on his land and up to the railway station. But that boy didn't know the person who was sitting was Subhash Chandra Bose. Later on, he came to know that he was Subhash Chandra Bose, and that little boy was none other than the ex-president of Bishnupriya Manipuri Sahitya Sabha, Bhupendra Kumar Singh. Third thread started from a hostel in Murari Chand College of Sylhet by few students by publishing the literary magazine, first literary magazine, Jagaran, and I think it was 1925. Okay, 25. Okay, which paved the way for literary movement using print media. That's the start point of print media. Fourth thread is about the organized identity movement started with the formation of Sromaveli Manipuri Association, followed by Nikhil Bishnupriya Manipuri Mahasabha, Bishnupriya Manipuri Sahitya Sabha, Bishnupriya Manipuri Students Union, and other organizations. And the fifth is hitherto not much discussed. In this triangle of Sylhet and say Karimganj and others, there was another parallel movement, communist movement was going on. And the main kingpin, the ideologue of communist movement was Comrade Kalachand Singh. And one of his disciples, Comrade Kalachand Singh's disciple, he was locally known as Nimai. After a police firing, Changbabul Singh died on the Patharkandi railway station. Nimai had to flee. And there was one lady in that group, Comrade and she was my grandmother, so I don't want to say. I will say later. So Nimai left Patharkandi and took shelter in Tripura, and he was known in Tripura as Rakhal Rajkumar. His name was changed. And Rakhal Rajkumar was the man who motivated Gokulananda Geetiswami to join in politics, particularly in the communist movement. And at that time, another communist leader was working in all the Manipuri villages. At that time, Manipuri means both Bishnupriya and Mayang. And he was Comrade Irawat Singh. Now I will come to the last. Because of the clarion call and the tireless efforts of Gokulananda and other individuals and organizations and the sacrifice of life by Shahid Girindra in the Krishak Andolan, Rajbabu and Sudeshna, the voiceless community has emerged as a strong voice in literature, particularly in Northeast. Bishnupriya Manipuri is emerging today as a strong voice in the Northeast in different dimensions, particularly in literature, for its quality literature. And that is sure. One of the 5 or 6 languages, if we consider, of quality literature, Bishnupriya Manipuri literature will be one of them, in my assessment. Now, our job is not yet done. We have to do a lot of things. On such occasion, under the patronage, we should have a documentary film on Gokulananda Geetiswami and others. There, that is still lagging. His Rachana Samagra, which was edited by his biographer, who is sitting in front of me, who has done tremendous, a valuable job in his whole lifetime. I applaud, I congratulate Haridas Singh for this. But that is not the end. There are some research questions left for those participants who want to do work on Gokulananda Geetiswami. Number 1, you see there are multiple threats and events, but Gokulananda Geetiswami, he was a man of culture, he was bard, but we don't find any reference of Gokulananda Geetiswami interacting with the events of threat which was created by Rabindranath Tagore's visit up to Shantiniketan, a journey of folk dance to a national dance. What was the contribution of Gokulananda Geetiswami? Was he at all interacting? Because it started from the same region where he was born. One answer to little answer geographically maybe. At that time, he was studying at Silchar, that is in Chenkuri, is near Silchar, when Rabindranath Tagore visited that place. But that may not be the ultimate answer. There might be something which is yet to be explored. Person like Geetiswami can't sit idle. Okay, that is one research question for the investigators. Now another, you see, Krishak Mukti Andolan, who started from his native village, Banugel or Banugas area. What was the contribution of Gokulananda Geetiswami in that tract, which started around 1930? What was he sitting idle, or he had contributed something there? It is yet to be answered. I request the researchers to find out. And interesting enough, we have found Comrade Kalachand Singh and Irawat Singh were working for communism, spreading communism in those areas. But we are leaving one more icon, Vishnu Rava, Vishnu Prasad Rava. Vishnu Prasad Rava, most of you know, they were almost like Jamindars. They were there in Sylhet at that time. So whether Vishnu Rava interacted with Irawat Singh and or Comrade Kalachand Singh, this triangle is not yet explored by the researchers, because Vishnu Rava was hiding there, going there frequently. So he can't sit idle when his ism was growing there. So that question is yet to be answered. We made Gokulananda as an icon, an identity variable, but other individuals who contributed not less than him are sinking in social amnesia. Pahuranir Patalpurit, Gokulananda Geetiswami ami icon hisabe tulanir process enar. বাকি যেটাই সমাধানত ওই সময় ডাঙর ডাঙর অবদান করেছি ওটারে আমি পাহুরানির পাতালপুরীর ঠেলা দিয়ে একটা নাকি থাকে because we can't forget the contribution of the first man who started printed media there in 1925, Falguni Singha as editor of Jagat and others. And because it cannot be only unidirectional only for Gopalananda Geetiswami, because he interacted with all this. So print media people and other social workers like the historians and others who is involved, they should be equally given respect. We have given them, we should give them equitable position, not equal I am saying. We should give them equitable position in our identity card by remembering that. And in an identity card of a community, what are the variables? First variable is language, second variable is literature. Literature gives whether this identity is for an elite, that is a cultured society or not. And third identity variable is culture and this set of icons. And in this set of icons, it cannot be only Gopalananda Geetiswami. There may be more, so we have to take into account the interactions of the events, ideologies, even though they are conflicting, but they have equitable position. They should have equitable position in our identity card. And once a man goes from a smaller orbit to a higher orbit, we call it orbit theory, is that not only he goes along with them, he brings his family, his community together into a higher orbit. That's what Gopalananda has done. He reached to a level of icon, but at the same time, he also glorified us in the arena of literature and culture in India. So now there is the concept of, now the question of recognition. Now my friend who will be talking on that is Geetiswami title given at that time by the Mahasabha. Is it befitting? Was he seen only as a singer or a ballad? Yes, he was a visionary, he is a philosopher. So there is a question from the young generation now, whether the title given is the first and the last. Can we give a befitting respect by giving a more befitting alternative title by any organization like Jatiya Adarsha, etc., by this trust? They are floating this. Okay? And in the conclusion, now I would like to say only 2 lines. BPM, in the conclusion, we want to say the Bishnupriya Manipuri, an endangered language till today, is emerging as a strong voice in Northeast in literature and culture in the context of many dominating languages like Assamese, Bengali, Manipuri, so many languages are there. Amidst, it is making its own place as a source of quality literature from Northeast region. But still, this community is under new threats. What are these new threats? Still, this language is enlisted in UNESCO website as an endangered language. Of course, it is not critically endangered, okay, but it is still in endangered language. And it is still given there as a, not as a language, but as a, some other form, previous form, clear. Okay. Now, 2 more important things are roaming around. Okay, it's now paralyzing this community. New threats are language illiteracy is the number 1. Many young generation people or even the old, they can't read their own mother tongue. They are language illiterate. A number of language illiterates are increasing. Our educational system by the government of India or our government of Assam has produced a lot of qualified people, MBAs or engineers, PhDs like me. But at the same time, they are also producing a lot of language illiterates who cannot read their own language. This growth of language illiteracy is really an alarm for not only for such a marginalized or endangered language, but also for other languages. And second is more important, and that is the root cause of all the conflicts, I suppose, in this community, that is emotional illiteracy. Emotional illiteracy deals with you don't do something or don't say something which may hurt the others. That is called emotional illiteracy, maybe in one sentence. And emotional illiteracy is now in the school curriculum of developed countries like where I was in France for 1 year, and so US. It is in the part of school curriculum because emotional illiteracy leads to all this social disorder. So, and this society is fighting. I have seen from my small school days, and whenever we come to any meeting, only output is fight, fight, fight. They don't respect each other. They don't know. They are emotionally illiterate. And I must say with respect, this community is suffering from emotional illiteracy. Now, who will take care of these two forms of illiteracy? Whether another Gokulananda we are waiting for Bado, or should we have to organize, retrospect ourselves and try to be at least language literate and also emotionally literate? Thank you very much.